But a friend once told me that, Tay, people tend to vote not based on policy, but more on who they would rather have a drink with. Trump employed strategies that helped people see him this way. Joe Rogan, Lex Fridman, and Theo Von. Ben Shapiro, Valuetainment, all of these podcasts played a role in marketing him to different audiences, lots of different audiences, millions of different people on the internet. In an age in which authenticity is celebrated through social media and podcasts, Trump generated a favorable following. So I'm going to do a very brief overview of his first strategy before diving in and looking at the strengths of his strategy this time. As people interested in the media, PR, communications, whatever, there are definitely lessons here to be learned. So the story begins in 2016 when Donald Trump ran for president. And at the time he was politically inexperienced and many didn't really favor his odds. Trump came under particular attack for his comments regarding immigrants and then for his even more provocative comments about grabbing women by the... But Trump persisted and his comedic approach kept him in the spotlight. Trump knocked out his opponents and made his way to the final round where he took on Hillary Clinton. At this point, many still expected Hillary to win, but Trump's japes and jibes proved too much to look away from, and his crystal clear emphasis on challenging the establishment resonated with a forgotten crowd who didn't believe globalization had favored them. Now, studies have shown that globalization has on the whole made the world wealthier. But commentators have highlighted the movement's cost, and have drawn attention to the increasing disparity between the rich and poor. Trump identified this crowd and spoke to them in a way in which Hillary couldn't. He won the election and sure enough began reigning with fire and fury. Trump's greatest mistake came on January the 6th, 2021 when he encouraged the protesters to march from Capitol Hill. The incident got him in trouble when the House of Representatives decided to impeach him for a second time. Now, throughout the early 2020s, Trump spent much of his time fighting off this as well as many other scandals. But Trump is a fighter, and come 2024, he ran again, only this time with a slightly altered strategy. Whereas in 2016, the hype was around Twitter and the hyper-normalization of the mainstream media, in 2024, Trump's emphasis has been on doing podcasts, joining panels, and engaging in long-form discussions. This worked out well for Trump, and he was often heard marveling at the viewership during these interviews. Trump's populist message of channeling mass frustration towards illegal immigration is a controversial one, but in recognizing the existing frustration and channeling it away from his wealthy donors, Trump employed a strategy that Kamala simply failed to pick up on. Kamala's strategy of talking about hope seems to have fallen flat, especially at a time in which many Americans feel the growing disparity between the rich and poor. Again, Trump won the election because he segmented the vast majority of Americans who felt dissatisfied with globalization. He channeled their attention away from the real problems and towards another issue which he and his donors could get behind. Trump won because of his ability to identify this trend, as well as his awareness of the growing influence of online podcasts and the alternative media. Joe Rogan, Lex Fridman, and Theo Von. Ben Shapiro, Valuetainment, all of these podcasts played a role in marketing him to different audiences, lots of different audiences, millions of different people on the internet. In an age in which authenticity is celebrated through social media and podcasts, Trump generated a favorable following. In stark contrast, Kamala didn't engage in such forms of content. She instead stuck to her script, and in a style which we've seen before. Kamala chose to play the classical politician, and this is something that, really worked with people like Obama. When Obama did it, people really believed in him. But Kamala's word salad demonstrated an ambiguity on the issues. This left her a little bit compromised, and put her in contrast to Trump, who, for the most of it came across as a lot more authentic. I think the long-form interviews helped Trump come across as a lot more authentic in ways that Kamala remained shielded and guarded from a lot of her supporters in the mainstream media. Now, I could have made a video about the geopolitics of Trump and Kamala, and I could have made one about their economic policies. But a friend once told me that, Tay, people tend to vote not based on policy, but more on who they would rather have a drink with. Trump employed strategies that helped people see him this way. When he went on Joe Rogan and began talking about how beautiful the White House was the first time he got in, I suddenly shifted a little bit and thought, wow, this isn't the cartoon personality that the media have presented to me anymore. This is someone who actually shares maybe some interests of mine, and someone who I could have a good conversation with. I get that I can't cover everything in this video. There are so many topics that I haven't mentioned. You know, Jordan Peterson's video on the Trump X-Men brought life to something that I had been thinking about myself, and this is another thing that may have swayed many voters towards him. Say what you will about Elon Musk, but his association with Trump made the candidate an exciting figure. It associated him with innovation. Same could be said for Robert Kennedy Jr., whose dynamism and desire to take on the problematic health industry again indicated a challenge to the established order. Vivek Ramaswamy brings forth some very exciting ideas about national liberalism, and it could be a unique shift away from the neoliberalism which many people have become dissatisfied from. J.D. Vance is a nice contrast to Trump, and this much was made clear when he debated Tim Walz. Tall, strong and well-spoken, he demonstrated a steadiness and a level-headedness that Trump may at times lack. The two could be a good pair. The legacy media was no longer the only player in town. Online media played a massive role in showing another side to Trump and his team. Trump's victory demonstrates a win not only for him, but for the new media, which I and many others are incredibly excited about, and which many of the new generation now follow. If you've enjoyed this video, then do give a thumbs up. If you're new here, subscribe. World Order covers all things geopolitics, media and industry. I also create more highly produced content in the form of mini movies and mini documentaries, so do hit the bell icon so that you never miss out on any of those. Thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Bye bye.